Hello BTT, happy quarantining to you all. We're going to do a closed guard armbar. So starting in a closed guard, first I want to control my partner's arm and posture. There's more conventional ways of doing an armbar by coming through like this. Problem is, especially in no-gi, if they posture up in a way I'm not controlling their head, it's hard for me to land that armbar. So for my opponent's starting position, I want to have him at about a 45 where he's kind of halfway down. If he's all the way up, again, it's hard for my hips to reach all the way up. And if he's all the way down, it's hard for me to move my hips because he's pinning with his elbows on my hips. It's hard for me to get to an angle. So we're going to try to get to our opponent to a 45 halfway up position. And then we're going to start to control behind the elbow and behind the head with a collar tie. We're going to start to move our opponent's elbow towards our center line and move our body off at an angle. Right? Once we start to do this, there's speed-based methods where I can start to throw in nice and fast and try to come through for an armbar. But we're going to look at a higher percentage control-based method where I'm going to lock up. I'm trying to get my guard up as high as I can, and eventually it's going to come up all the way over their shoulder, and I'm going to lock in a top lock. So from this position, I have control over their shoulder, and I also want to get my hips off the ground. So if he tries to pull his arm out right now, it's really easy. So I want to get my hips up and off the mat, so when he tries to pull his arm out, I'm stopping it with my hips. So again, controlling behind the elbow, at the neck, and then I'm going to pivot my body and start to climb my legs up to a top lock, right? Now from here, if he does nothing, I can finish an armbar just like this. So it's his job to start to protect his arms, and I'm going to control here and then start to look to pivot my legs off of his shoulders to get to more of an angle. So as I start to separate my legs here, I'm going to turn my legs sideways. So I'm now aligning my shins, and then I'm going to make a nice small step over the head, and I get my knee all the way to the back of his neck and drop my heels down. Okay? So this helps keep him from posturing up, but even if he does come all the way up and starts to stack me, I want to go onto my shoulder so I'm not on my neck so much, and then I can start to look to untie his hands and finish with an armbar from the guard. So again, our entry, elbow to the center line. It's very important that I don't have his elbows out here. It's going to be hard for me to turn to a correct angle. So I try to pull his elbow across my body, keep his posture down with my other hand, and then I'm going to pivot up and into a top lock here, getting my hips off the mat, and as he starts to protect his arm, I'm hooking through with my elbow. I can grab my own thigh here, and then I'm going to start to scoop under the leg and pivot off of my knees, keeping my knees pinched. Right? If I don't pinch my knees here, he can start to pull his elbow right out and escape. So when I'm here and I start to go from a top lock to pivoting here, I'm pinching with my knees so he tries to pull his arm out. It's still hard to do. Now from here I make a nice small step over the head, dropping my heels down, trying to keep my knee up over the back of his neck. If my knee starts to fall this way, it's very easy for him to posture out and to stack me. Okay? So I keep my knee nice and high, and then from here we can start to either sweep or separate for a finish and an armbar. Okay? So again, elbow control, collar tie. I start to turn to an angle and get to a top lock. Hips come up. As he defends, I'm going to scoop the leg and pivot with my legs off of his shoulders. Small step over the head. And then from here I can start to untie his arms and look for the finish. One way to do this is I can actually switch elbows and then pull his arm out and then look to pull his arm down. For our finishing mechanics, I want to try to get his hand over my bottom hip and get up onto my shoulder. So generally people will stack. I'm going to go up onto my shoulder and get his hand not to my chest, all the way over my bottom hip here. Okay, so the whole thing looks like this. Elbow, collar tie, top lock, control, scoop, shoulder pivot, step, and then from here we can start to untie the arms or sweep for a finish. everybody's keeping it together. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye.